Hi, I'm Hayden, a chair yoga instructor for senior citizens, and today we'll be talking about why your lower back pain might just be in your head. Alright, to clarify my intro, your low back pain is not just in your head. There's almost definitely some sort of physical cause or initial injury that led to your lower back pain. However, behavioral changes based on certain beliefs you have about your low back pain, in addition to actual structural and functional changes in the nervous system, can keep you stuck in cycles of pain that seem never ending, and also make your pain more intense than it used to be. Still don't believe me? Let me talk to you a study that demonstrates just how powerful the mind can be. This is a study conducted by Dr. Bruce Mosley. Between the years of 1995 and 1998, Dr. Mosley recruited 180 patients from the Houston Veteran Affairs Medical Center who had been diagnosed with osteoarthritis of the knee for a placebo medical study. Half of the patients in this study received true arthroscopic surgery of their knee to help improve their osteoarthritis. But the other half of patients were put to sleep, cut open, nothing was done to them, they were sewn back together, and then they left, not knowing whether or not they had received an actual surgery. The fascinating thing is that these patients were followed up with at various points over the course of 2 years following the initial surgery. And both groups of patients reported equal levels of pain reduction and knee function post-surgery. And neither group could more accurately than the other guess whether or not they had been in the placebo group. This study shows just how powerful the mind can be when it comes to our experience of pain. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, there's two probable pathways that led to this change. One is behaviors that probably changed in the placebo group based off the belief that they had received a surgery that would improve the function of their knee. The other is the neurological changes which actually influence the way that we perceive and sense pain. Let's talk about it a little bit more. So first, let's talk about behavioral changes. This is most commonly observed through a mechanism called a self-fulfilling prophecy. But what does that actually mean? So the most common example given of this is a student who believes that he's not smart. He's not good at studying and he's not going to perform well in school. Because he has this belief about himself, he doesn't bother studying because he knows it won't work and he knows he'll still fail the test. But he might have passed the test and done well if he had studied, but the belief held him back. And then the outcome actually reinforces this belief that he's not smart. So it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy where our beliefs influence our behaviors, which then lead to outcomes that reinforce our beliefs. So how does this work with your lower back pain? Let's say that you had an initial injury. You threw out your lower back and you decided to take a few days off from activity to rest and recover. Great. But then maybe you decide to get back a little bit too quickly to your normal physical activities or exercise routine. And then as soon as you get back, you throw out your back again. So this creates a pain memory associated with movement or exercise. You believe, I have a fragile back, and if I exercise or I move too much, I'm going to re-injure myself. And so that belief then leads to you avoiding exercise and movement. And instead of actually reducing your lower back pain, that avoidance of exercise and movement leads your muscles to atrophy. They become weaker and less flexible. This leads to posture-related issues that can contribute to lower back pain, as well as just increasing the general risk of injury to your lower back. So what about neurological changes? Well, let me talk about another study that just demonstrates how our beliefs about pain can actually change how we perceive them. So there was a study conducted by the University of Colorado Boulder. In this study, participants were hooked up to an fMRI machine to track their brain activity. The participants were then shown a different visual cue prior to receiving moderate painful stimuli. This was either an L or an H, which would imply low or high. However, the participants were not told that this L or H actually had no association with whether they received a low or a high dose of pain. Nevertheless, when the patients saw an H, they had higher levels of activation in areas of the brain associated with pain perception. And the opposite was true whenever they saw a letter L. So their perception and their experience of the pain actually had nothing to do with how painful the stimuli was. and way more to do with how painful they expected it to be. This is because the way that our nervous system functions and the way that we perceive things is anything but objective. I want you to think about your brain like a smoke alarm. Ideally, we want the smoke alarm in our house to only go off in case of actual fire. We don't want the smoke alarm to go off anytime we're cooking and there's just a slight amount of burnt food. Well, our expectations around pain and our anticipation that things will hurt and that a part of our body will constantly be in pain can turn our brain into this sort of overly sensitive smoke alarm. This is the case in a phenomenon known as central sensitization, in which our nervous system becomes more sensitive to painful stimuli. This can lead to having pain during activities in which you used to be able to do pain-free. It can lead to pain that it starts to extend beyond the initial point that it was, or it can lead to spontaneous pain without any sort of a direct cause or stimuli. This is due to a series of a few specific neurological changes that influence the way that we perceive pain. First, in response to painful stimuli, our neurons, the cells in our brain, emit more neurotransmitters which communicate pain signals, and the reuptake of those neurotransmitters by other neurons in the brain is even more efficient. So there's more signaling of pain and more reception of that signaling. Between neurons, there's also neural pathways. These are lines of communication. You can think of them like telephone lines, which make communication about certain experiences more or less efficient. So those neural pathways associated with pain perception become more robust, more strong, more efficient, and the neural pathways associated with pain tolerance become weaker and less efficient. And lastly, some neurons may even start to fire spontaneously, signaling pain without any sort of direct signal from the spinal cord. Crazy, right? And so whenever I say that your pain is in your head, please know that it's not an invalidating statement, but it's a reflection of the very complex processes going on in your nervous system that can completely change the way that you experience the world in your body. But what can you do about it? So the first thing you want to do to try and address the mindset causes behind your lower back pain is just reflect and think about if you're engaging in any behaviors that might be contributing to a self-fulfilling prophecy. This may not be the case, but if it is, if you do see that you're avoiding certain activities that might actually help you, try to avoid avoiding these activities. It may also be helpful to seek the help of a mental health therapist who can help you along in this process. As far as neurological changes, one of the best things you can do for this, honestly, is meditation and mindfulness exercises. You need to be able to learn how to change the way that you relate to and respond to your pain and increase your ability to sit with your pain without sort of forming this mental resistance. So to demonstrate, let's do a quick exercise, okay? I want you to sit in a chair and just let your palms rest on the tops of your thighs. If it feels comfortable, go ahead and let your eyes close. As you sit here in your chair, I want you to just briefly scan your body and see if you can notice a place where it's itching a little bit. Don't scratch it, just notice that it's there. Now I want you to focus on the itch. Focus on how incredibly annoying it is and how frustrating it is that I'm not letting you scratch it. Just focus on how unpleasant the sensation is. Maybe even get mad at me because I'm making you sit here and just be upset and have to suffer through this itch. All right? And notice what happens to the itch as you do this. Does it become more intense? Does it become more infuriating? Do you become more stressed as you sit here? And now I want you to switch gears a little bit. Still keep your attention on the itch. However, I want you to just try to observe it. Watch it as if you were watching the sunset in the evening. Try to notice exactly where it stops and ends. Notice whether it feels prickly or fuzzy. Maybe there's a color that you can sort of associate with the sensation of the itch. Just observe it like any other part of nature that you might enjoy. Holding it, within a place of neutrality. And as you do so, notice what happens to the sensation of the itch. Perhaps you notice that it starts to wane and become more tolerable as you do this. On your next breath, you can go ahead and open your eyes if you had them closed and enter back into the video. How was that for you? I hope you could sort of sense how when we're really frustrated or resistant against a certain sensation, it makes the experience even more unpleasant. However, when we're able to sit with unpleasant stimuli with a sort of neutral disposition, it actually makes the experience a lot easier. So learning how to sort of surrender to the experience can actually make it a lot more manageable for you. Another type of meditation I find to be really helpful for people with chronic pain is a compassionate body scan. So in this meditation, you can either lie down or rest in your chair with some support for your lower back and your neck. And then you're just going to close your eyes and then scan your body, starting all the way at your feet, and then move up body part by body part. And each time you visit a body part, just notice if there's any discomfort there. Notice if there's any tightness, achiness, soreness, anything that you feel in that body part. And just send wishes of compassion, of well-being, of physical ease to this part of your body. Work your way up and up and up through each part of your body until you reach the top of your head. And once you're done, go ahead and just rest for somewhere between 2 to 5 minutes in complete silence. Allow yourself to enjoy the easeful state that your mind and body are going to be in at the end of this practice. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. This is the second installment in my series for the month of August 2024, all about the causes of lower back pain in older adults and how we can use mindfulness and chair yoga to improve it. In case you missed my first video, which is all about the physical causes of lower back pain in older adults, you can find that linked in the description of this video. I also have another video coming out towards the end of this month, which will outline 10 specific chair yoga poses you can do to help manage your chronic lower back pain. I'll walk you through step by step with visual demonstrations of exactly how you can do each of these poses and give modifications to make it easier or harder according to your needs. So go ahead and make sure you're subscribed and you click the bell icon to receive notifications so you don't miss that video. Thank you again for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you have a wonderful day ahead of you. Bye-bye.